This is going to be a short walk around video on this Waldon 5000 wheel loader. I swapped the engine out. Originally it had a 172 Ford gas engine, and I put a 152 Perkins diesel, a 3-cylinder Perkins. And this engine came out of a welder generator. To couple it, I used the factory, or the welder generator bell housing, and I took the plate that used to bolt to the Ford bell housing and welded it inside the ring here. So that bolts in there. And then I took the welder generator flywheel and turned the Ford flywheel down so that it would fit inside the welder generator flywheel, which was kind of like a cup-shaped flywheel. And I bolted that together and then used the Lovejoy coupler that came with the wheel loader. So that's how the hydraulics are hooked up there. For the engine mounts, I just welded 2 pieces of C-channel on either side, and then I welded another piece of C-channel to the bell housing to give it more support in the back here. This radiator is out of a 1.5 deuce, and that I just welded brackets up and bolted it in. It's plenty to keep this engine cool. And then I made a hydraulic oil cooler out of water pipe from Lowe's. I just welded some brackets to it and bolted it up with the radiator. And it's got 2 nipples threaded into it. One of them goes to the hydraulic filter, and the other goes back to the pump here. I redid all the brakes on it. I believe the parts are the same as a 68 Chevy C20 with a Dana 60. And that's what these are, Dana 60s, the front and rear axles. I did end up replacing, I broke this one axle here in the back and put a chromoly Dutchman axle in it. And the front, the ring and pinion actually went out on it. So I rebuilt that, put a new ring and pinion in the front differential. I also put a heavier duty cover on it because that cover is kind of in a bad spot there. And then the transmission, I ended up rebuilding that. I had to replace one shaft in it, which I ended up getting from Waldon. They're the only place I could order it from. The drive shaft uses just standard. I put 2 Spicer U-joints in it, and I put new straps on it. The hydraulic cylinders I ordered from Magistar. Don't know if there's a part number on them, but they were just standard hydraulic cylinders. And then this hydraulic cylinder came from my local Rural King, and that is also just a standard hydraulic cylinder. The bucket does have a rust hole in it there, but it still works fine. It's also got a hole back there. I ended up putting a suspension seat on it. There, I just bolted it to the factory plate where the old seat used to sit. For the throttle, I've got a little throttle like a lawnmower would use. So that's full throttle, and that's idle there. And then to turn it on and off, I've just been switching it at the injection pump. I've got a battery kill switch here, so that shuts off power to the machine. And then to start it, I just have a switch running to the solenoid. There it is with the engine running. The hydraulics work with 2 levers. There's one to raise it. That also does lower. And then your tilt is this inner one here. So there it is with the arm all the way up. And it does lift pretty high up, but I don't think it's high enough to really load dump trucks with. They just barely make it up over them. And then here's the hood in the front here. You can set open like that. Underneath the hood, this uses a standard master cylinder like an old car would use. And I did replace that. This is a new one here. And then it uses just a standard 2-spool valve there. And that does the hydraulics. This one does not have any auxiliary hydraulics. And there's a Dana 60 down there. I did end up, when I had it apart, I put a new seal in the front of that hydraulic motor. So that's got a new seal in it. And the controls here. It's got the brake on the left here. That's that pedal. And then for forward, you've got a pedal that you push one way for forward. That's neutral, and that's reverse. And when you put it in neutral with this pedal, like that, it will kind of take you to a stop. Not an abrupt stop, but like a gradual stop. And then it's got a low range, which is all the way forward. It's got a neutral in the middle if you need to tow it. And then it's got a high range, which is all the way back here. But that there is neutral, and that's low. And you do not want to shift that while moving. It does not have any sliding clutches or anything. It's actually moving a gear in the middle of the transmission. So it's not something you want to shift when you're moving. Originally it had all the gauges up here. There's the hour meter. Mine, I just bolted the gauges next to the battery here. And the reason I did that is because I did not want to run them through the center of the machine there. And I have 2 hydraulic filters on it. I've got one leading to the hydraulic cooler and then one coming out of the hydraulic cooler. And I also have a fuel filter that I put on it. That's going to be it for this video. If you have any other questions about this loader, just put it in the comment section and I'll try my best to answer it. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Thank you. Bye.